During a school musical performance, I proudly stood in front of everyone and read a self-composed poem about my dad. My dad is the best. He can be both a dad and a mom. Out of the blue, a boy threw a crumpled paper ball at my face. Stupid! Only a man can be a dad! Laughter echoed everywhere. Feeling embarrassed, I started sobbing. Suddenly, my dad appeared with a half-skirt, half-pants.
Who said I can't be a mom?
Then he started doing little magic tricks that left the kids in awe. He had magically turned my embarrassing situation around. Hi, I'm Wendy, 15 years old. Before I tell you my story, please like and subscribe. My dad and I lived in a small house in the suburbs of Texas. We only had each other to depend on. Dad had never mentioned my mom, but it didn't matter because to me, he was the world. Life continued on peacefully until that fateful day. That day, I saw a beautiful woman with her son move into the house next to mine. Her name is Jane and her son is Matthew. Jane is very gentle and kind. She often baked CoCo cakes, one of my favorites, and gave them to me. Once when I was crossing the street, because I was wearing loud headphones, I didn't notice the sound of a car honking. The car drove straight towards me and I was so shocked that I could only scream. Suddenly, an arm stretched out and pulled me back in time. Both Jane and I fell on the sidewalk. Luckily, no one was seriously injured, but Jane's limbs were all scratched. Wendy, are you okay? Although she was bleeding, Jane was only worried about me. For a second, I thought that it would be wonderful if my dad and her became a couple. However, there was something odd about Jane. Every time she and I were talking, the moment my dad showed up, Jane would disappear without a trace. And her son was a jerk. Matthew didn't share the kindness of his mom. He might look cute on the outside, but his personality sucked. He even joined the group of Jenny, the high school's worst bully. One day, when Jenny and her friends entered the school canteen, she accidentally stepped on sauce stains. The spoiled girl immediately screamed. This is disgusting! I need a new pair of shoes right now! Then she pointed to my shoes and blatantly ordered her minions to rub them. I couldn't believe what was happening. Matthew even offered to lend them a hand.
Let me.
He took my shoes off so forcefully that the shoes flew and hit my foot tray. All the food dropped on both of us. I shouted angrily. Jane must be so proud to have a son like you! Matthew suddenly went quiet. At the moment the school superintendent walked in, immediately Matthew and his friends fled from the scene. The very next day, I went to Jane's house to tell her about Matthew bullying me at school. She must have been shocked. But as it turned out, the one who was shocked was me. I found my dad and Jane arguing in the yard. She looked scared and Dad was extremely angry.
I can't believe that after so many years of abandoning your own family, you dare to come back and try to get close to her? Do you want to take her away from me? What the hell does that mean?
I immediately rushed over to get the two of them to explain. Seeing me, Jane quickly turned to leave, but Dad had already spoke.
Dear, she's your biological mother, the one who abandoned us. She even had a child with a new man.
I was beyond surprised. So Jane is my mom? What about Matthew? He must be my half-brother. So the person who bullied me is my brother? Desperate, Jane tried to explain to me, but I didn't want to hear anything anymore and just ran away. The next day, I saw a basket of fresh CoCo cakes in front of the door. I also saw Jane peeked out from behind the bushes to watch my reaction. Oh yeah? Wanna watch? I angrily threw the basket far away. Not giving up, she tried to talk to me when I was watering the plants. I immediately got annoyed and splashed the water in her face. I even went as far as sticking a picture of Jane and Matthew on the fence between the two houses to forbid them from coming over. One day, while walking on the schoolyard, I spotted Matthew. He was being surrounded by Jenny and her friends, but surprisingly, they looked very hostile. Good job. Here's your money. Thanks. You guys won't touch Wendy anymore, right?
Know your place, blockhead. Just take the money and go back to your sick mom. Let us play around with that stupid girl.
Stupid? I was ready to beat them up, but suddenly, Matthew punched the guy who just spoke rudely of me. Leave my sister alone! The guy quickly bounced back and punched Matthew in the eye. In a blink, I grabbed a nearby bar of wood and rushed to fight those bullies. When they had all run away with tails between their legs, I turned to Matthew and saw that his face was bruised, but he was smiling at me. In a slow tone, Matthew explained everything. On the day Mom left Dad and me, she found out she had a serious illness. Worried that it would cause a heavy burden on us, she decided to leave quietly without even an explanation. Coincidentally, she was pregnant with Matthew at the same time without knowing. After he was born, they lived together for more than 10 years. Matthew joined the bullies just to make quick money from them to help Mom pay for her medical treatment. My gosh, Matthew, how long have you known this?
Just recently, like you.
Then he turned depressed.
Wendy, Mom's time is running out. She comes back to see you and Dad one last time.
I was so shocked by his words. I quickly took Matthew home to see our dad and told him everything. Dad was speechless. He hugged Matthew emotionally.
I'm so sorry. I've misunderstood your mother. But I'll make it right this time, I promise. Let us be family again.
Since then, my dad has been taking care of my mom tirelessly to make up for the time he couldn't be there when she was struggling. At long last, I finally have a complete and happy family.
That night when Michael and I were on a date in the city square, he suddenly knelt down and handed me a large bouquet. Happy 10 days of love. At that exact moment, the church bell rang loudly, announcing that it was 0 o'clock. Hearing that, I pushed him away. Let's break up. What? Are you kidding me? This isn't Cinderella. Despite Michael's relentless stopping, I still managed to run away. Whew! It was almost past the 10th day. I couldn't love anyone for more than 10 days. Hi, I'm Joyce, 18 years old. You think I'm a coquette? No, I'm used to being quiet and timid. I even had a 1-year relationship with Jason, the most outstanding guy on the basketball team. One day I asked Jason to go to the movies, but he was busy visiting relatives, so I invited Fiona, my bestie, instead. But she was busy too. I had to go to the movies alone. But when I got there, I saw Fiona happily chatting with some guy. She got a boy but didn't tell me? Huh. I curiously sneaked over to them, but as I got closer, I discovered that his voice was very familiar. It was Jason. When are you going to break up with her? I don't want to be your second date forever. Come on, Joyce is rich. Her family can help me in the future. Don't you also use her all the time? Those traitors! I angrily rushed over and threw a whole bag of chocolate popcorn on them. You backstabbing tramp! And Jason, you're a two-faced cheater! You sure are a match made in heaven. Fiona horrifyingly looked at her white dress covered in popcorn and shouted, "Nobody likes a boring snob like you. We hung out with you only because you're pitiful." Joyce, calm down, all right? You should be grateful that I helped you stop being a loser who couldn't land a boyfriend. I was so upset that I burst into tears and left. Fiona tried to chase after me for revenge, but her skirt caught on the edge of the table, causing her whole body to slam on the ground. Serves that tramp right. But still, that didn't make me feel any better. The next morning, I came to physics class in a sore mood. Tom, my classmate, saw it and worriedly asked, "Joyce, did you break up with... I saw Fiona." "Yes, and I'll destroy every cheater in the universe." Tom was startled to see my hatred, and he quickly changed the topic. That night, I secretly created an online forum called Revenge Club, a place to make your cheater pay. Soon, I was flooded with long lists of names and their stories. All right, time to help them get their revenge on those bastards. About Jason, I would save him for last. Let him and Fiona enjoy the rest of their happy days. The higher you fall, the more painful it is. Soon after, my revenge plan began. My first target was Michael, the school's famous womanizer. He was a master of using honeyed words to lure girls in. After they fell madly in love with him, he would break their hearts to get inspiration for his songs. After researching him for a while, I had learned to be exactly his type. I showed up at the place where he usually practiced guitar and sang along to a song he composed. The guy immediately fell into my trap and enthusiastically invited me to a concert. Soon, Michael asked me to be his girlfriend. And on the 10th day, when he held a grand celebration to celebrate our love in the square, as you've seen, I brutally crushed his heart. The next morning, Michael rushed to me. "Joyce, I thought we were getting along swimmingly." "Sorry, Michael. A famous musician just asked me out. Honestly, compared to him, you're just too crude." I feel like I've landed a giant punch in Michael's heart. The guy kept shouting that he was the best and even broke the guitar in anger. I posted that video on the school forum, and in the comments section below, The girls he trampled on were absolutely satisfied. After that, I devotedly continued my revenge plan. Every 10 days, I kicked a cheater's ass at the request of the girls who were betrayed. Then one day, I suddenly received a letter asking for revenge on Tom, my physics classmate. He was said to be ambiguous with many girls at the same time. I was surprised. To me, he was smart and gentle. Was it all just a cover? And so I started flirting with Tom. However, despite being with him most of the time, I couldn't find any problem with him. Worse, the closer I got to Tom, the more interesting he became. The nerdy guy was smarter and kinder than any guy I had ever met. And then on the 10th day, instead of breaking up, I accepted to be his girlfriend. I thought he was Mr. Right and maybe it was time to bury my painful past. But no, one day Tom suddenly met me in the hallway and asked me to break up. What? Wait, why? Listen to me calmly. Before Tom finished his sentence, Fiona suddenly appeared. Heya, Revenge Club founder. Didn't expect me to know about it, right? I desperately denied everything, but Fiona just smirked bitterly. You must have made Jason break up with me too. Looks like karma got to you. What? You two broke up? Well, I did establish the Revenge Club, but I sure as hell hadn't laid a finger on them yet. But no matter how I explained it, Fiona refused to listen. After that, the secret about me being the founder of Revenge Club became the talk of the whole school, and Tom deliberately avoided me. But the trouble didn't stop there. At the end of class, when I was on my way home, I was suddenly blocked by Michael and all the cheaters I had dealt with before. Hey, are you gonna take responsibility for breaking our hearts, sweetie? I guess the table is turned, huh? Revenge time. Then he violently pushed me against the wall. Right when they got closer, Tom suddenly appeared and pushed them away. He pulled my hand and both of us quickly made our escape. When we reached a nearby park, I looked at Tom, who was gasping for breath but still didn't let go of my hand. Why are you helping me? I lied to you too. Joyce, actually, I was the one who lied to you, because the one who asked you to take revenge on me is me. I was shocked. Turns out he wanted to ask me out on a date after I broke up with Jason, but after I had eloquently stated that I was extremely disgusted with men, he decided to keep quiet. Later, Tom also happened to learn about my revenge club. He then decided to hire me to punish himself just so he could be with me more. I'm sorry, Joyce, but I'm really, really into you. Will you give me another chance? Of course! Tom happily leaned in to kiss me. After that day, I closed the Revenge Club. The girls I helped stood up to protect me, so I wasn't afraid of getting hurt by the bad guys. But I've also learned that every revenge has consequences. I decided to let it all go so I could enjoy a new start with Tom.